What's going on, everybody? No, I'm not going to do the whole entire video like this. So it's just a joke. All right. So let me get right to it. One of my friends was asking me about maps. Not maps, but navigating through the city. Well, yeah, maps. He was asking me about that. And so I want to try to make this as quick as possible. I attempted a couple of times in the videos, it was just way too long. So let me get right to it. So when you first start driving, I would encourage any and everybody to invest in a Raleigh McNally map. Now you should be able to read a map without using GPS or the computer or whatever. You should learn how to read the map. It tells you where the scale houses are, what roads to avoid for low bridges. I'm sure hazmat runs. You know, you can't just drive on any any stretch of road with hazmat. You can't do that. And so he was asking me, how do I maneuver? Excuse me. How do I maneuver through the city with, how do I make my stops with this truck and trailer? And I've been doing this for so long. I mean, 20 plus, but it's kind of instinctive for me. And considering now that I'm local, I'm not all over the place, but still, I'm familiar with the areas that I travel through in the city. And so anytime, when you're located at home, you should have an idea of where the low bridges are. There's a lot of drivers don't even bother paying attention to some of the streets that they're on, and where there's bridges as low as 10 feet. You gotta pay attention to all of that. But anyway, I would encourage any and everybody to first invest in a Raleigh McNally map, and then learn how to read that. And especially if you're over the road, you got to do trip planning. Now they have computers, the internet and all that. I mean, it's cool, but I would suggest learning how to do it the old-fashioned way first, and then go from there. Now the GPS, I treat it like a friend who likes to joke a lot. I don't take it too serious. And I know there was one time where I GPS something, and it wasn't a trucker GPS. So this, in all transparency, it wasn't a trucker GPS, but I kind of had an idea of how this particular suburb, how to get through it. Well, anyway, towards the end of the trip, it had me going towards one of the rivers, which, you don't do that. But, like I said, you don't take the GPS too serious. But when I first started, I had the actual Raleigh McNally map, did my trip planning from there, and then started using the GPS. I started using that a little bit more, especially and I would encourage everybody take advantage of it, but use like the trucker version. Don't use the one on your phone. Get the trucker version, so then you can do the best you can safely. But even kind of verify the trip like look at that Raleigh McNally map, see where the low bridges are or the restrictions, restricted roads. See where that's located and then kind of go from there. I know it's time consuming, but trust me, saving yourself a few bucks, because you're out on the road to make money, not give it to, the local counties or whatever. You're not out here for that. So anyway, do a comparison and then go from there. Now, let's see, when how I get through the city, like I said, I already know where a lot of these low bridges are. I know where some a lot of the business are, and it's kind of easy for me to maneuver. But if you're new to it, like I said, if you're like, you just got a job in a new city and you're not familiar with things, where the bridges are and stuff, get the Raleigh McNally map, or like I said, look into the trucker map, GPS. The trucker's GPS. Like I said, I couldn't tell you which one is the best one. I'm not doing those types of videos. But look into it and kind of go from there. But after I'm done speaking here, I'm going to show you what a Raleigh McNally map looks like. But anyway, that's really it. I mean, majority of the times, I know the safe roads, majority of the time, not all the time, the U.S. roads, what is that? Some country roads, but you gotta be careful with that. There's a lot of weight restrictions with that. And then, of course, like a lot of these towns, some of these towns have, if they don't have low clearance bridges, then they have roads that kind of tilt up. So if you was to take a truck, you're trying to drive over it, and then it has this little pitch on it, your landing gear or something could get stuck trying to cross that bridge. You need to pay, cross those tracks. You got to pay attention to that. You're not out here to gamble. You're out here to make money. So don't gamble with that stuff. Spend that 10, 15, 20, 30 minute to go around those types of hazards as opposed to risking it. A lot of drivers don't like to they say that, most drivers don't read, the signs. And I kind of believe that. There's one bridge that I know of out in the south suburbs of Chicago where everybody just always gets stuck under there, but they're not paying attention to it. It's a 12-6 bridge. You're not making that, but trucks find themselves in that. But the best advice that I could give you outside of this other stuff too is that if you don't see the height, if you don't see like what the height is of the bridge, consider it low. Don't even risk it. You don't want to take the chance of peeling off the top of your trailer or puncturing it, trying to figure out if you can make it. Even if you was to get in a little bit, that bridge could get lower and then you get in there and you get stuck. I think it's a bad idea, you go under there and then you get, you find yourself getting stuck and then you want to try to jam your way through it. Not a good idea. You don't see those numbers, don't do it. Don't do it. And that's the best advice that I could give as far as that go. But anyway, video is coming up next. I've been talking too much. All right, you guys have a good one, and at the end of this month, I'm gonna be switching into other subject matter. I won't be going into trucking. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. All right, you guys have a good one, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Okay. Now remember what I was telling you in the video. I don't know how I'm going to put this all together, but I'm at a truck stop now. Let's see if they have any maps. The maps I was talking about that you should get when you just first start. And let's see, this is it. This is what I'm talking about here. When you first start driving, I suggest any and everybody to get one of these maps if possible. There used to be a bunch of maps, but now everybody is on the computer. They're using a GPS. But I would suggest that you grab one of these. They're pricey, but like I said, you don't want to be somewhere where your GPS goes out at the wrong time, and now you're trying to get around somewhere. You know, this Washington, and I've been there plenty of times. But like they give you the locations of where the scale house is and what have you. And let's see, if I recall correctly, they give you the distance from one place to another in the back of it. I'm trying to see, would they have the low bridges on here? Let's check. But like I said, you need to look at this, registration. They got everything up in this book, on what you should know. Let's see. I'm telling you, this here, I haven't touched one of these in years. Yep. Low clearance locations. And one of the worst places to, pick up a load from, and it gets real confusing is New York. I mean, I love New York, but, driving the truck, no. So, yeah. Let's see. Do they got one for Chicago? Let's see. Or Illinois. Let's see. Illinois. Yep. See all those spots where low clearances are? So that's the thing you have. So, as I said, when you first start driving, you need to pick up one of these. So then when you're where you're not familiar, you can get your way out of that situation, Because the last thing you need to do is be stuck in the north side somewhere in Chicago, and then you come up against a bridge and there's nothing but residential around you, and everything is tight. And so it's good to get one of these books. Go through it, learn how to read it, and that's the beginning of your driving career, I think. Once you get broke in and being in a couple of tight places, then you start learning how to maneuver. But everybody's going to GPS and stuff, so let's see. I have one in my truck, but let's see. I think these guys might have it, but I'm not going to get into that. Let me just take one more look here. Let's see. I don't see it. GPS. The GPS. You guys have the.
So they're all on display right there on the right side.
Let's see. She said it's over here, but I see radar. Radar. Ah, here we are. That's what I'm talking about. So everything is gone into technology. And you see how pricey it can become. So just be wise about what you purchase. Because everything that's super expensive is not what it's cracked up to be. And like I was, treat all of these things like somebody who played too much. You know, don't trust it like that, okay? But anyway, that's it for me on maps. And if anything else come up, I'll record it. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Peace.